Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirits. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you once again for tuning in to this week's show. In this week's show, we're going to be looking at the topic, making the most of who you are. Also in this week's show, we have this week's channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their communications and wisdom through. And then later on in the show, we do have this week's energy forecast reading, which hopefully will help you navigate your way through the course of this week. So without further ado, we're going to crack on with this week's show topic, which is making the most of who you are. So what am I talking about by saying that? Well, basically, let's take it right back to the beginning. Getting to know yourself. Now, it sounds very obvious, doesn't it? But there's a lot of us, myself included, throughout various parts of my life, where we've been influenced by society to the point where we've forgotten who we are and we lose track of our authenticity. And with this being the case, we generally go with the narrative, the general narrative, and we're not actually being true to our true higher self, are we? So getting to know ourselves once more involves us taking a look at ourselves, analysing, not from an egotistical point of view, but from the view of self-alignment, self-expression, that kind of perspective. So what we're looking for to getting to know ourselves, we're wanting to be present in our current reality. And when we're present, we can then be the external observer of who we are, if this makes sense. And we can analyze the things that we enjoy. You know, it could be anything really, couldn't it? You might enjoy reading, you might enjoy creating, you may enjoy getting involved with people socially, you know, bringing people together. Whatever your preference is, that is down to you. But the fact that you're acknowledging these traits that you have and you're recognizing them, and in actual fact, there'll be some of the old traits that you've continually done over the years just out of habit, and that's what you've always done. But actually, when you become present and in alignment with yourself, you may recognize that some of these traits, some of these hobbies or interests may not necessarily be something that you enjoy anymore. You're just doing them out of habit. So getting to know ourselves is, I would say, that is the key. That is the key. And when we do get to know ourselves, you know, this is including our personality, our quirks, you know, little quirks like maybe, I don't know, leaving a coffee cup out on the side or something like that, or not washing the dishes, or maybe the way that you walk down a street. It could be anything, you know, just recognizing all these quirks and actually owning them. And not making excuses for them, but just saying, yeah, okay, that's me. That's me. That is me. And when we own that energy there, our life can change in miraculous ways, in all sorts of directions. So celebrating our quirks there and not being offended or embarrassed about them, just taking that responsibility, that ownership there. And also, what I would suggest, making the most of who we are, is recognizing that our past choices that we've made have actually led us to where we are now in our life. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you consider that you made a wrong decision or the right decision, whatever the choice was at the time. In actual fact, it has worked out because it's led you to where you are now in your life. And where you are now in your life, at any one given moment, second, you can turn your life around very, very quickly if you want to do that. You're 1 second away, you're one choice away from turning your life around in the direction that feels in alignment with the truth of who you are in that moment. Because let's face it, we all are continually changing throughout the course of the day, each and every day. You know, What resonated with us in a morning, in the afternoon, we may have a different vibration and we're not aligning with that anymore. So recognizing that we're constantly growing and evolving is part of the process of understanding who we are there as well. But also, I'd like to encourage you, this is something that we don't do enough of, I've noticed, I've observed anyway in society, is celebrating your successes. Now, what is considered a success to one person may not be considered a success to another. So it's not looking outside of the box. It's going within and recognizing, well, I've achieved that today. That's fantastic. I never thought I would have achieved that. And it could be anything, such as, for example, going out of the house today and going to the shops and having a conversation with a random stranger. Now, for some people, that is a massive leap and it should be celebrated. It should be celebrated. So what I'm suggesting here is all of your little, shall we say, eureka moments, successes, I'd like you to acknowledge them within yourself and then start to recognize the power that you have within yourself. And what that will do when you show that level of gratitude and you celebrate those successes, it will keep your vibrations high. It will make you feel more confident within yourself. It will allow you to start to proceed forward in your life rather than just treading water and waiting for permission from external sources so that you can move on forward or celebrate your successes, if this makes sense to you. So give yourself, quite literally, I feel, is what we all need to be doing, more so now than ever in the times that we're living in, is to give ourselves a pat on the back and say, well done you, you've got this, you've come through it, look where you're at now. Fantastic job. I don't feel embarrassed about doing that. Again, this is not an ego exercise, so do not mistake where I'm going with this. This is simply you connecting with your higher self and giving yourself that acknowledgement that you have that ability to do that. Also, I love this phrase. I don't know who actually said this phrase, but it really resonated with me, and I'm going to read it out to you now. And the phrase is, a floor is a ceiling waiting to be lifted. How powerful is that statement? So I'm going to read it out again because it really resonates with me. A floor is a ceiling waiting to be lifted. That is so powerful, isn't it? So it's telling you to take your power back, isn't it? And look at what you considered to be maybe a negative aspect of yourself and actually turn that around and say, well, actually, this is going to evolve and I'm going to rise from either this choice, this situation, and actually it's going to be the making of me. So I love that statement. It so does align with who I am and what I've gone through throughout the course of my life. So I love that. Also making the most of who you are, opening up more, express yourself. Now, there is a lot of self-doubt in society now, what I've observed anyway. I'm not judging by saying this, I'm just sharing the observations there. And so people have that fear of being judged, of being not liked and not appreciated. And so with that being the case, there's a lot of people that clam up when they're in social circles or in society, and they're not expressing themselves to their full capacity because of this sort of social, shall we say, disassociation. And with this being said, we need to get back to the old ways, I would say, to open up more, to have a little bit of a gossip, obviously positive, raising other people's vibration and asking how people are doing and, you know, words of that nature, and giving people that celebration back to them as well, and just allowing you to express yourself, what you're feeling in that moment, what you're thinking in that moment. With you doing that, that is you connecting to your higher self and allowing the truth of who you are to flow through you. So you're not going to care too much about what society thinks. When you get to this level, you'll just say what you need to say. Obviously, I would certainly recommend that you do it with a degree of respect, that you're not going to harm anybody with your words or actions or anything like that. But I'd certainly suggest that we need more of it, more of us opening up and expressing ourselves and, celebrating that uniqueness within us all. And allow people also to get to know you. Because, again, what I've observed, there seems to be some sort of vibration that's happening where people allow people to get to know maybe the surface version of themselves, and then anything beyond that, they'll put the shutters up around their emotions, around who they are as a person, and they clam up, and they'll remove themselves from anything further, if that makes sense. But this, obviously, that's cutting down that sort of energy flow, isn't it? That natural flow between people, that communication, both on an energetic level, emotionally, frequency-wise as well. It's cutting that natural state of connection that we all have, and we all should be reminded that we're all one. So I would certainly recommend that we take down those barriers. It does take time to build that level of confidence up, obviously, to open up to people and let them into our lives. Because somewhere down the line, all of us that are listening to this would have had some sort of situation where our trust has been stretched beyond limitations, and it's led us to this position where we've put this barrier up in order to keep ourselves protected from any other untoward situations there. But what that actually does, if we analyze it further, is it's cutting us off from society, from the divine oneness that we truly are. So do it incrementally, but allow people to get to know you. You'll be surprised how many people actually do vibrate and align with you once you start to open up a little bit more. And in fact, the quirks that we were talking about earlier in the beginning of the show, that once you recognize your quirks, what you probably feel about yourself, that's kind of a little bit strange and weird, other people will actually align with that once you start to open up and allow them to draw forward into your life there. And they'll find that very, very positive, very enlightening. They'll like that about you. That is, in fact, what makes you the individual that you are. Now, I understand that I'm stating very obvious statements in this communication today, but do you know what? It's nice to actually have this conversation, because it's not spoken about enough, is it? I don't think, anyway. It's sort of something that's kind of a given fact that nobody has that conversation. But I felt that it needed to happen today in this episode. So also, making the most of who you are. You will inspire people by opening up, by allowing people to draw forward into your life. And when you inspire people, they feel comfortable in your vibration. They feel comfortable in their own vibration, which in turn is allowing them to make the best of who they are. And they're going to do that analysis there with themselves, aren't they? And they're going to look into what makes them them, and then so on and so forth. And you kind of passing on that baton of light wherever you go. But somewhere down the line, you have to take responsibility for who you are, and you have to do this inner work, getting reconnected with who you are. And then this is where this daisy chain effect can happen. So taking responsibility for yourself, and then watch how this flourishes in society as well there. So also it leads to that classic phrase, doesn't it, really? Your vibe will attract your tribe. And quite literally, this will be the case, because your vibrations will be heightened energetically, emotionally, frequency-wise. And so sometimes this happens without even exchanging any words or any communications with people, people just are naturally gravitated towards you. And this will be the case because you've worked on yourself, you've heightened your vibrations, and they feel comfortable in your environment. So watch out for that. It's almost like a pat on the back from the universe when this happens, because it's saying to you, well done, you've done the inner work, and this is the proof that you've done that. But trusting your intuition, I would say, is making the most of who you are. Now, we all have this ability to have intuition. We've all got it, whether we acknowledge it or not, it's there. And the way that we acknowledge it, I just want to share a little bit of a few techniques with you, is when we get that emotional feeling, like when we feel happy, we feel light in our physical body, don't we? There's a flow state. Everything seems to flow. We're smiling, we're happy, we're laughing. We sometimes feel those butterfly sensations in the stomach area there, don't we? And we just feel light and everything is just flowing nicely. So that would be a very positive feeling, that vibration, intuition, wouldn't it? And so the opposite of that, if you're feeling very tense within yourself, you're feeling your muscles tightening up, you're feeling your adrenaline rushing through you, you're noticing that your breathing is very quick, very fast, you're feeling a bit of pressure around the head, you're also feeling that weight or pressure around the shoulders there, and you're finding that within your life or within the situation there's constantly, shall we say, roadblocks, something blocking the flow of that energy from moving forward. Well, obviously that would be an indication to you to let you know that actually your intuition is saying there's something off with this, it's not right. Now it's your choice whether you continue to walk down this pathway or you can remove yourself from that choice and that environment. So that is our intuition, and that's the way it works. So just observing the way that you feel will actually help you to stay centered, stay present, and also stay in alignment with your pathway there on your life moving forward. But with this being said, I always like to say this: love every moment as if it was your last. And I know it's a very cliche term, but it's very true, isn't it? You know, we never know when we're going to make our exit from this dimension, from this world. And so it's the little things that matter, I would say, you know, the nuances, the little quirks within people, that interaction that I was talking about earlier, you know, allowing people into our lives there, feeling that divinity, feeling that oneness, that connection. To me, that's what it's all about. It's all about loving every moment, recognizing the beauty in that moment, and not attaching to it, just being that observer of that situation, of that experience, and allowing that energy to flow with ease and grace. It's only when we attach our belief systems to certain things, well, that's not right, ooh, that's wrong. This is where we feel that heavy vibration, that heavy energy, which will in turn stop us from loving that very moment that we're experiencing. So again, it goes back to where we started with this episode of getting to know yourself, and being okay with that, taking that responsibility back there as well. And, you know, don't hold grudges in life. Live and let it go. As we say, holding a grudge has very negative energy, doesn't it? Very heavy vibrations. I know I'm sounding very hippie when I'm saying this, but it's very true, isn't it? When we hold on to something, like we have a need to be correct about an individual or a situation, we're holding those energetic cords to ourselves, and we're not harming anybody else other than ourselves. Yeah, on a surface area, people may observe like a stubbornness behavior or, you know, an irritation. But in actual fact, by holding on to those grudges, those belief systems, for the need of being right, we're actually harming ourselves, and we're stopping ourselves from living in that present moment consciousness. So, just let people be. Let them be who they are. Let them express themselves the way that they want to. If it's not aligning with you, then that's fine. You simply remove yourself from that vibration. Going back to what we were saying earlier about your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you're in a situation like this, then obviously you're not going to be drawn to somebody that's continually complaining, wanting to be right, holding grudges against people. Most people don't want that in their lives, do they? So you'll recognize that. So ideally, don't hold grudges, just live and let live. And if something doesn't vibrate with you, then simply let it go. Let it go there. So as ever, I'd like to share a few examples with you where there's been elements in my life where I've had to dig deep and reconsider my approach and reevaluate, as we all do, I'm sure. And so making the most of who I am, what I've had to come to terms with, and I made the most of them. So my examples are, first of all, I was diagnosed with dyslexia at the age of 18 years old, and this is when I was in full-time employment. So I went throughout my school years, I went through college with no diagnosis, and I was just sort of observed as being lazy and not listening, when that wasn't the case at all. In actual fact, I worked really, really hard, from my perspective anyway. And also, I got the diagnosis of being colorblind as well there. I can see color, obviously, but it's certain shades of red and certain shades of green that I have issues with. And there's many funny stories I could tell you about that. But why I'm bringing these up is dyslexia. I had to turn that round straight away. As most dyslexics will tell you, you find a coping mechanism so that you can navigate your way in everyday life. And for me, the way that I work with dyslexia is that I have to have that level of patience with myself. I know that when I read out a statement, the first time I read it, I will just see a jumble of words. So I have to scan that over again. I'll see a jumble of shapes. The second time I look at it, I will read it out. And I'll read it out, but I won't absorb the information that's being exchanged in that text form. So I have to read it a third time for it actually to sink in, for me to understand what information is being said. But over the years, I've developed a technique where I can move very quickly. I've learned how to cope with this. I know that this happens, and I just do it sort of instinctually now. And so that's the way I cope with that. And I see the better side of being dyslexic. It allows you to observe more. It allows you to take more in and not rushing around, so to speak. And it allows you to think differently as well. Think in terms of like images and ideas and visions. And for me anyway, that's the way it's worked. And color blindness as well, it's allowed me to, I don't know, this hasn't been an issue other than when I was sign writing. I used to be a sign writer many years ago. And a screen printer, when I picked up what I perceived at the time was a tin of black paint, a tin of black ink, should I say. But in actual fact, it turned out to be a really dark green, but I couldn't tell. And I'd printed quite a substantial amount of signs with this dark green ink. And to me, it looked black. And it wasn't upon until one of the foremen come round and said, "Why have you done all those green?" And it's like, "That's not green, it's black." And so I saw the funny side in that. They luckily saw the funny side in that. So what I started to do is just get that second opinion before I started any work when I was working with dark colours. So that's the way I saw the good side of that. Also, as you probably may understand with hearing me and listening to the show, I'm not really academic as such. I'm not academic. I'm very much a feeling type of person. I have to feel the vibration. I have to be inspired. And I trust that inspiration. So whereas most people would enjoy researching, heading a book, for me, obviously being a dyslexic, that would be a nightmare for me. So I'm not really academic. The way that I've turned that round is I trust the vibrations. I feel into a situation and I trust what I'm feeling. And so I've turned it around that way. Also, I don't, with the food that I consume as well, I have to be very careful because I don't have sugar. And I have to monitor the sugar levels there as well. And I have to watch certain foods. For most people that go through the same thing, you have to obviously look through the food labels. There's hidden sugars, there's this, that, and the other in a lot of foods. But what actually it helps you to do is to eat more sort of freshly produce, really, and also start to prepare your own meals a little bit more with a little bit more intention, knowing what food is going in, what sort of energy, what sort of fat content and all that is in the food. And so it gives you that knowledge and that understanding. Yes, it can be a little bit irritating at times, especially when you're out and about and you're working pretty hard and you're on the fly and you can't just rustle something up. But it gives you that knowledge that the foods and the sustenance you're getting is more sort of high value content for you, for your body, for your energy as well. So I've had to look at it that way. Also, I don't drink alcohol. Many years ago I did, and I decided it wasn't for me. My physical body was rejecting it, to the point where, I would just have a can and I'd feel physically sick because of it. A can of my old tipple was the real ales. I used to love them. I used to love the flavour. It was all about the flavour for me, not necessarily the alcohol. But because of that, it was a very persistent thing. And I thought, you know what? My body's rejecting it. It's time to let that go. So I let that go. But in actual fact, that has served me. Obviously, I'm no longer being sick because of this. I have that level of clarity in my mind. It's allowing me to connect with positive vibrations, connecting with the spirit world there. And also it allows, as you've heard on this show, that level of channeling to come through. And again, that's part of the lifestyle choice that you have to consider when you're doing spiritual work and channeling work. So I let that go. And so the positive side of that really is making the most of who I am. I don't need alcohol. I don't need it. It's not serving me. So I'm making the most of that situation. I also don't have any stimulants such as coffee, tea, or some of these energy drinks that you see on the market there. To me, I found that many years ago, I used to drink coffee and everything. In fact, I used to rely on it when my two daughters were little toddlers to keep me awake and alert. But I found that I became reliant upon it. And it wasn't until I ran out one day that I thought, hang on a minute, what am I going to do? I got myself into a little bit of a panic because there was no coffee. And I thought, well, how am I going to function today? Do you know what I mean? And so I thought, hang on a minute. I had that thought in my head. Why am I relying and giving my power away to a substance in order to make my day better? And when I evaluated that in that way, I decided, no, I'm not going to drink it anymore. And you know what? I asked to be connected to universal energy. I felt that energy come in. So anytime that I'm feeling a little bit low or need that boost of energy, I simply ask the universe and it is gifted to me as well. So I get it back that way. So it's keeping the body, the energy clear, and I'm getting universal energy as doing that. But also, I don't like, as you can probably tell, I'm a very easygoing gentleman. I don't like any drama, any tittle-tattle, any gossip either. So I generally steer away from anything that has anything to do with that, as this keeps my vibrations high, allowing me to do the work that I do, allowing me to help as many people as possible, and to allow the truth of who I am to come through with non-judgment. So in summarization, I'm hoping that the content within this conversation has helped you to maybe reconsider who you are and go within yourself a little bit deeper than perhaps you have done for a while, and get to know yourself again, your quirks, what you like, what you don't like, and start to make informed choices once you've made that and come to that conclusion. Well, now we're coming to the next segment of the show, which is the channeled section of the show, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their communications through. Also, the wisdom that they bring through and the energetic vibrations that they bring forward with the different characteristics within the voice. Notice when you hear this back how you feel upon listening to those communicators coming through, because as I say, not only are they bringing through this content and information, but also there's a healing tone within the frequency of their voice so that's something to look out for. So obviously I enjoy this part of the show because I'm unaware what's to come, and this is the first time me listening to it after doing this trance session there. So I'm very excited to see what comes of it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's channeling.
Isn't it absolutely marvelous to come through and be here with you all today? We'd like to talk along the lines of ascension codes and upgrades. As many of you may or may not realize, you are all going through a time of transition with your energetic and biological essence of your body. Most of you will be aware of those ringing in the ears that keeps persisting with you on a day-to-day basis. Also the feeling of feeling lightheaded and a little bit dizzy and out of sorts for just a minor portion of your earthbound time, and then as soon as that's taken place, you're back to normal again. You'll also be aware of that sensation and feeling of lightness within your physicality, and the urge to not to eat as much food or consume as much, shall we say, dense produce. You'll all be feeling elements of these things that we are describing to you at this moment in time, and the reason for this is simply because you are changing as a species, as a human species, and your DNA configuration is changing, but also, as we say, your energetic body is changing for the better. Now we say the better because you're returning back to your originality, the fact that you can connect in with everything and everyone, whether that is an inanimate object or whether that is a person or a living thing, being. You're having that ability now to connect in with it and have an understanding on an emotional and energetic level, whereas for quite some time you've remained stunted as a species. And we don't mean to sound derogatory when we're saying that, but what we mean is you've been, shall we say, left to fend for yourselves, feeling the feelings of feeling ignorant to this particular skill set that you all came down here with. It's the fact that it's been drummed out of you in such a fashion that you become numb to these emotional feelings and these energies that we're describing to you today. Well, with these ascension codes and upgrades, those energy blocks, those, shall we say, subconscious belief systems are now being eradicated from your energetic, emotional, and mental state of being. And in doing so, you'll all notice different ways of existing in your current reality. You'll be more in tune with your fellow man, fellow woman, and animal, and other species, as we previously said on here. And when we say in tune, we mean that you will pick up on their vibration, you will pick up on their feelings, their mental state of awareness, and what their thoughts are communicating out into the ether. Now, don't be despondent with what we're describing to you today. In fact, if anything, it's going to be the savior of your species, as you'll all recognize that you are all energy, you're all existing in the same frequency band. Now, we know that there's some of you that said yes, but there's a high vibrational frequency, there's lower base vibrational frequency, there's emotional frequency. Yes, there is, but the true essence of all of this, the key to all of those ingredients, is the fact that you are all connected, and it's where you place your focused intention on becomes your reality. And what we're alluding to in this conversation is just to say to you that whatever you think, whatever you put out into ether, there will be others around you that are of a higher sensitive vibration that will have had these upgrades and downloads and so on and so forth, that will pick up on your intention, your emotion, your frequency. With all of these upgrades coming into alignment with you all, you will also notice the fact that there will be certain facets within your life that no longer feel comfortable for you. And you will start to begin to change and amend these habits, these, shall we say, things in your life that you took a great deal of pleasure and enjoyment in doing. Well, you will find it increasingly uncomfortable to be in any vibrational misalignment now, more so now than ever. And this goes in alignment with what we're saying about other people's values and opinions. If the energy behind all of those aren't aligning with you, then you will remove yourself from that emotion, that energy, and that space in your time in order to connect with the truth of an essence of who you are. Now, ascension codes and downloads come in at different times for most of you. And what we're meaning by this, it's dependent upon where you're at in your own evolution, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. And so it will come in a rate that your physicality, your body and energetic body can withstand. Because if we were to come in full pelt with all of these energies, then it will literally put you off kilter to the point where you will find it near on impossible to function in your dimension. As if we were to do this in one hit, you would find that you wouldn't be able to speak clearly. You would have problems with your cognitive thought process. You would have issues with your physicality, by which we mean your motility skills. The ability to move and coordinate yourself would be affected if we were to come in full bore with all of these downloads. So we do it incrementally, so it doesn't take you off kilter or off your pathway energetically, emotionally, and mentally and physically. So with this being the case, there's a great responsibility, because when you become aware of these energies and facilities, and you know that you have changed, then it is entirely your choice to either go with that energy, where that energy is catapulting you in that direction, or you can resist the change. The choice is entirely yours at any one moment in time. But if what resists persists, and it's an old saying we know that's been used many times, but in this case it's very true. So if you find that you're not willing to go with these ascension codes at this moment in time when you're given those downloads, then obviously that is your choice. But that energy code system has been installed into you. It's a case of you catching up with your intentions, your emotions, your authenticity. And so the energy will come up to the surface, and it will open and trigger some old wounds. Some old emotional wounds would be coming up, so that you can let those go. Mental blockages will be removed, and those are also considered as wounds. They will be removed, but all in good time, you see. Everybody's different, but we wanted to make this come to light, come to your attention, that when you are feeling a little bit out of sorts with the symptoms that we have described, or another connection with this symptom would be an effect on your breathing, and finding it a little bit labored to breathe how you would normally breathe. And this is simply, again, because we're changing the way that your physicality interacts with your energetic body and your higher self. Some of you, one of the symptoms we didn't mention earlier was the fact that your heart skips a beat. Now, it may feel a little bit unusual when this occurs, because you'll feel it physically jump in your physicality, in your chest there. But you'll notice that it will come back on alignment, and you'll feel an energy surge after it does so. You'll feel a lot lighter in your physical body. You'll also feel a sense of joviality and also heightened emotions after this does occur. So we hope this has gave you a little bit of something to understand and recognize as you will all be going through this period of change and evolution. So thank you for listening. We'd like to pass you over to another communicator in which they will be sharing some more insights with you.
Hello, yes, thank you for allowing me to come through in this manner today. It's one in which I feel very honored and blessed to do so. I'd like to communicate with you about your intentions and where you see and envisage your intentions placing you on your timeline. Now, as you know, intentions are very powerful vibrational alignments that you create. And you create these alignments, these frequencies, by opening yourself up to your true higher self and allowing that portion of you to blend and permeate through your physicality, in which your mind, your conscious thought processes aligns with. And you get this visualization in your mind where you begin to see things forming, pictures forming, situations forming, and you're seeing it from an outside perception, looking inwardly into your life. You will find this most peculiar but exciting all at the same time. With this, you will formulate an intention that I really like that image. I'd love that to occur in my life. And we say it's from this perspective that this is where the creation happens, because after all, you are a creator and you create your reality. So when you're comfortable with the visions that you've seen, the next process would be to speak about them with clear intentions and speak of them as if they were there in your now moment conscious reality. Which, of course, that is where they have always been, because there's no such thing as time as you would perceive it. And then you will feel and connect with the emotions of that. And this is where the magic of creation starts to occur. It's only with devotion and realignment with that high vibrational frequency that you're connecting with and you're creating, keeping that energy vibrational alignment flowing. That is what brings it into your visual, emotional, mental, present moment consciousness. So it's more tangible in your life. So that's why I came forward to share a little bit of that and let you know that obviously this technique that we're describing is part of the manifestation process that you will all have heard of at some point. And all of you have actually used this method of creation. In fact, you didn't realize that this was what you were doing, because it's not something that's taught in your schools, colleges, or workplaces. In fact, it's swept under the carpet, and it's laughed at, considered ridiculous, when in actual fact you've been doing this ever since you were born without being consciously aware of it. We just want you to be aware of it, and then start to shape your reality, taking the responsibility back for yourself in every area of your physical, energetic, and emotional mental lifetime. We thank you for listening, and we hope to hear and feel your vibration employing some of the techniques that we have shared and reminded you of to use. Thank you so much. We leave you with one note so that you can align with these frequencies on a daily basis. Here is that note, that sound healing alignment frequency for you.
Wow, absolutely incredible to hear that transmission there. Very interesting to hear about these ascension codes coming in and that it triggers transitions within our lives, nudging us to think in a higher perspective of where we're at. Also removing the energy blocks that maybe we're subconsciously unaware of, and it helps us to confront them and let them go there. So very interesting. Noticing that uncomfortability when things don't align with us, whether this is people's conversations or their initial vibration, and just having that patience with ourselves as we align and change our frequencies and move into a different vibrational frequency that does make us feel more comfortable and in alignment with our true calling there. Interesting to hear the second communicator coming forward telling us about setting pure intentions. Again, designing our life the way that we feel and see fit as we're moving beyond these changes that are coming in for us all at this moment in time there. Having the courage to do internal life assessments, having that honesty with ourselves will enable us to do that. So that was nice to hear there. And also at the end there, the sound healing. Wow, what a beautiful note. It certainly made my ears ring, my heart felt lighter. And I got tingles from my head down to my toes there. And I was literally vibrating upon hearing that back for the first time. So beautiful transmission there. I really enjoyed that. So we're going to move on to the next segment of the show, which is this week's energy forecast reading. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium. And welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 17th of July, 2023. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the angel tarot cards. So what I'm about to do is just shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out at random. And one's just done that. Very quick today. So this is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. I'm now going to link into the vibration of that. First of all, this week, I feel as though you need to go easy on yourself, taking that pressure. Watch moments throughout the course of this week where you're going to find yourself overthinking. And when you go through this phase of overthinking, you're encouraged to step away from a situation, get out into either nature or into an area of relaxation, wherever that may be, whether that's in your home, whether it's even in your vehicle, where you can just get away from it all for 5 minutes, focus on the breath work, and then recalibrate and get yourself back into your now moment consciousness. Otherwise, what you'll be finding is you'll be feeling head pressure, you'll be feeling out of sorts simply because your mind is being overrun by this abundance of negative thinking. So watch out for that this week. Also be aware of situations rising to the surface. Now, when I say situations, I'm talking about past events that you've gone through, that you've soared through, that you've moved through with confidence and ease and grace. However, there's elements of those parts of your past coming up to be released. So just be aware of that as well happening this week. I also sense within this week, though, there's going to be some very positive uprisings within your vibration. What I mean by this is simply the fact that with you holding that level of trust, that faith and patience in the truth of who you are, many miracles will begin to show up in your life. But you've got to be open and you've got to be using all of your observational skills in order to spot them. They will be incremental to start with. However, these will build, your confidence will build, that level of trust will build, and you'll get the right things in for you at the right moment. But you've got to be paying attention this week. There's going to be people around you this week that will look at you differently, as if to say, well, why are they behaving like that? What are they doing that? I don't get it. I don't understand. My guides are saying it's not for them to get it or understand. What is happening is the fact that you're aligning with your vibration. And as long as you're listening to that divine inspired truth and you're following those intuitive nudges with trust and with ease and grace, holding on strongly to that, then that's all that counts. You will notice that within this week, there will be occasions where you go through a period of self-doubt. However, you'll feel this surge of energy come in and will change your level of thinking and will give you that uplifting that you need. There's also lots of inspiration coming in for you this week in the form of ideas, in the form of creativity, in the form of making life work for you, getting that balance right. And where at one time you would have seen a part of your life feeling out of balance and wondering how you're going to make that work, this week we'll see those inspirations coming in. And as they come in, you'll feel that abundance of energy, you'll feel that unconditional love, and you'll feel that pressure that you've been putting on yourself being lifted. So make sure you're paying attention and listen to the inspirations coming in there as well. There's also going to be some stirrings around your heart this week. Now, what I'm saying about this, I'm talking about people being attracted to your vibration. Just watch out for people being generally attracted to your vibration on a romantic level as well, is what I'm being told. So you'll catch somebody's eye this week. And so don't be blind to it. Instead, just be curious and allow that beautiful energy to manifest and unfold. Now, this doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, whatever your circumstances is. There is an uprising of love vibration, and this will in turn bring that attraction, magnetic quality in. So it's very much the ball is in your court, so to speak. So just trust your vibes this week with that. So I'm going to turn over the card for you. And on the card, first of all, at the bottom it says, protect what you have created. Be prepared. Never give up. Ask your angels for help. Environmental activism and animal rights there. So straight away, it's telling you to have that faith, have that trust element in whatever it is that you're doing within your life. And know that everything and all the hard work and diligence that you've paid into whatever you've done hasn't just been in vain. There is some beautiful blessings coming your way as a result of you doing that. You just got to hold your nerve, hold that faith there, and it will come in for you. We've got around the edge of the card number 9, so I'd like to encourage you to research the angel number of number 9, as that will give you some additional content and information. We've got the symbolization of the flame there. So flame would indicate passion, healing, bringing light into a situation, also a new start, a new beginning there. So watch out for that. The bottom of the card, we've got AR. And I feel as though that represents air, giving yourself space to have that level of connection to your higher self and listen to those stirrings in your heart. When you give yourself that space and that time, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, you'll notice your life will flow a lot more freely and openly. And you'll notice the opportunities coming in because you're allowing that space for that energy to work with you there. At the other side of the bottom of the card, we've got the Roman numerals XI. So to me, that represents number 11 there. So research the angel number of number 11, as that will give you some additional content and information as well. Also, let's take a look into the artwork of the card. We've got orange moving into red. Well, orange would indicate energy coming into you to give you that get up and go, that passion, that enthusiasm that you need in order to move beyond the final hurdle to get you to your destination, so to speak. Whatever it is you're going through within your life, you will feel this energy, this surge pushing you, holding you to, encouraging you to hold your nerve and to keep on carrying on. The color of red would indicate passion as well, and also knowing when to stop, knowing when to rest and when to be present, as this is where your true essence and power is there. In the artwork of the card, we've got this divine feminine warrior there, as you can see. The feminine energy is talking about your sensitivity, and it's also telling you to protect that level of sensitivity this week, because there's going to be other people's opinions, other people's belief systems trying to be enforced on you this week. So with that being the case, by all means, listen to them, understand them, but don't embody the energy behind them. Keep yourself pure, keep yourself in alignment, and just be aware of that sensitivity there as well. There's obviously a shield that she's holding, so it's telling you to keep that protection up. Obviously be present, be aware of situations, but just keep that protection up and you will be fine this week. There is a number 9 on the front of that shield. So again, it's encouraging you to research the angel number of number 9, as that will give you some additional content and information. There's a big moon in the background as well. So that would indicate your emotions from the past rising up, and they're going to be too obvious now to ignore. So when they do come forward, just recognize them and then let them go, and you'll notice that pressure being removed out of your way there. There's beautiful colors of orange there coming in. So again, that would indicate there is a bright future ahead of you. It's just telling you to hold your nerve, have that patience and have that level of understanding there, as these new changes will be coming in for you. But you've just got to, you're on the final hurdle now. So stay strong and just allow that beautiful inspiration to come in and help guide and inspire you at this moment in time. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 of those, shall we say, batons or wands being shown. And so again, research the angel number of number 9. Well, that's what I picked up for this week's energy forecast reading. I hope that has aligned with you. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting and sharing. If you've enjoyed what you've seen on here and you would like to buy me a coffee, there is a link in the description. Basically, it's like a virtual tip jar. So if you want to help me continue the work that I do, all your donations will be gratefully appreciated. In the meantime, if you like what you've seen on here and you would like a one-to-one private reading or any other of my services, please head over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or my Facebook page, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. Look forward to seeing you on my radio show every Monday, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on pulsetalkradio.com with my show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help. Meantime, take care. God bless. Well, by the sounds of that, it sounds like we're all in for an interesting week ahead, doesn't it? It looks like we've got to do a little bit of deep diving and also holding our nerve, whatever it is we're going through within our life, just having that trust in spirit and allowing them to bring forward the, shall we say, instructions or guidance throughout the course of our week this week. So it sounds very interesting and fascinating. Anyway, if you've enjoyed what you've heard in this week's show and you have got any ideas, or if you've got any stories of paranormal or self-help or your spiritual unfoldment that you would like to share with the show, it would be always fascinating to hear them, and I'm sure the listeners would agree on that one. So if you would like to get in contact with me and share your stories with the view of me reading them out on the show, then please head over to my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can email me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. And as I say, it would be fascinating to hear your feedback about the show, any of your stories or encounters that you would be willing for me to share and read out on the show on your behalf. Then please do not hesitate to get in touch. But whatever it is you're doing this week, I hope that you do it with love, enthusiasm and passion, and be gentle with yourself. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, as the old saying goes. So when you're feeling a little bit drained and need a bit of time out, then honor that and just take yourself away from it all so that you can come into alignment with your present moment consciousness. So have a fantastic week, everybody. Look forward to joining you all next Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time here on From Beyond with Glenn Boddice on pulsetalkradio.com.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information
about what products and services Glenn provides, go to glennboddice spiritualmedium.com.